Hey, boys and girls. Today we are going to be working on adding and subtracting fractions, but specific types. These ones are called fractions with like denominators. When you hear the word like, sometimes you think the word same. We're looking at fractions that have the same denominators here. Okay, so quick examples are right here in this box here, where we have 1/5 plus 2/5 equals 3/5, or 3/10 plus 4/10 equals 7/10. It seems like a pretty quick and simple idea. Just a couple things I want to go over to make sure that we understand why this is the way it is. I know you're going to look at it and say, oh, well, I see, Mr. Mack, you just add those numerators and then that's it. But I want to talk about why, because understanding the why right now is hugely important for when we start doing things in the future. All right, and understanding more number sense when it comes to fractions. Okay, so down here there's an example. It says Pablo spent 2/6 of an hour on a jigsaw puzzle, and Conrad spent 1/6 of an hour on that same puzzle. How much time did they spend working on the puzzle in all? So you hear in all, right? So we're going to be adding. So the picture here really does the best job explaining how this works, right? We had 2/6 here, which is what Pablo did, and then we have 1/6 here, which is what Conrad had. So we have three of those bars together. Each one of those is a sixth. So if we have three of those bars, that gives us 3/6, right? So then our answer would be that they had spent 3/6 of an hour, doing this jigsaw puzzle. All right. Now, down here, they start talking about simplest form. That's going to be another video we're going to do all together. So if you are wanting to learn about simplest form, watch how to add and subtract these fractions, and then you can go into the next one of the next videos coming that has to do with finding simplest form. All right, so we're going to move on to our next page here, and same idea. We have 3/10 and 5/10. So when we add them together, here is 3/10 in this picture. Here is 5/10 in this picture. So 3/10 and 5/10 is going to give you 8/10 total. All right. So we're not going to spend a lot of time just on this right here, but I am going to talk about these examples here. Okay, if you were to pause your video right now and do them, I think you'd be able to roll right through them knowing that your denominator stays the same because you're adding thirds or sixths or eighths, right? You're adding those. So they are staying the same. How many thirds do we have for this one? 1/3 and 1/3 gives us 2 total thirds. So that would be 2/3. 2/6 plus 3/6, we have 5 total sixths. So that would be 5/6. And we'll get a better understanding of that when we go down here into 12, 13, and 14, where it says to write each fraction as a sum of unit fractions. We learned about unit fractions earlier on, okay? And unit fractions is when you have a fraction with 1 as the numerator. So 4/5 is going to just be 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Because, again, that is 4 of the fifths. So it is all 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. It says then write an equation to decompose the fraction in a different way. So when we talk about decomposing it in another way, all it means is how can we end up with 4/5? Okay, well, you could say we have 1/5. Actually, let me change this color. Sorry. We have 1/5, and then we are adding how many fifths to it? Well, if we had 1/5, how many fifths were we adding to it? 1, 2, 3. So that could be 1/5 plus 3/5. Now, you could do another example here and say, all right, well, instead of 1/5, I'm going to start out with 2 of the fifths, which would be 2/5 plus how much is left? Well, we look here, 1, 2, 2 more fifths, okay? And then down here, we have 3/4. It's the same idea, but this time for 3/4, I am going to pause. You're going to pause the video, all right, and you're going to give it a shot. Try and do it, and then unpause, and I'll go over it. So go ahead and give it a shot. Pause it and work. And now that you've unpaused it and worked, let's keep going here, right? So we've got 3/4, so we're using that as unit fractions. So 1/4 fourth. Well, how many of the fourths do I have? I have 1, 2, and 3, right? So that is 3 of the fourths. So if you're talking about writing an equation, or an equation, you would do maybe 1/4 plus how many are left? 2/4. Now, I actually made a mistake. They're saying it's an equation, so you have to have your equal sign because that is what an equation is. We did expressions before. So this should have your equal sign and it should say 4/5. All right. So this is for adding fractions, right, with common or like denominators. I'm going to erase this page, and I'm going to jump forward a couple slides here to subtracting fractions with like denominators. Okay, so let me get to where I need to go. So now we're talking about subtracting fractions with like denominators. Again, the same idea that we did before, right? Where we have 7/8 minus 2/8. So we had 7 of the 8s and we took 2 away. It's just like a basic subtraction where you're going to do 7 minus 2, which is going to give you 5, and you still have the 8s is what you're counting with. So if you're drawing pictures to help you to understand how you're doing this, okay, you started out, here are the 8s. You started out with 7 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? And then we took 2 of them away. So I'm going to use my eraser and say, nope, not this one and not this one anymore. So how many are left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 are left. That's kind of like a real life, a model explanation for how these ones are done. Okay, so this adding and subtracting with the like denominators is, to break it down very simply, okay, you're adding and subtracting the numerators as long as the denominator is the same, because you have to be adding and subtracting things together that are the same. If there's a saying, you can't add apples and oranges, right? They're two different things. They're similar, but they're different, right? You need to know that your fractions have to have the same denominator in order to do any adding or subtracting to them, all right? Hopefully this skill wasn't too difficult. If it was, you can go back and look at just learning about what fractions were from before, and there will also be links added to this this video that are going to be some more videos, games, and some practice problems for you. All right. Best of luck with this, guys. I know you'll be fine.